All right, so the free will defense, here's his next section here. And he says, there's no question that the free will defense is the most common response to the problem of evil. We saw that in his previous chapter. It employs a version of human free agency that philosophers and theologians refer to as libertarian free will, right? So what is libertarian free will? Well, he says it can be defined as follows. Each of us, when we act, is a prime mover unmoved, right? So we each act on our own, basically. In doing what we do, we cause certain events to happen, and nothing or no one causes us to cause those events to happen, right? So we can make these decisions, we can, cause certain events to happen, and nothing is coercing us to cause those events to happen, right? Nothing is causing us to cause those events.
Right.
So we have libertarian free will. That's the idea here.
Right. The two important ideas here is that God cannot be the originator or the determiner of our choices, that truly free acts are uncaused outside our own choosing.
Right. So not even God, if free will is, if we're being consistent, can cause us to act in a certain way. Otherwise, we wouldn't have libertarian free will, right? Yeah.
And only we can be the sufficient cause of our own choices, what philosophers call the agent causation. So we're the first things that kind of move our action. If we are truly free in that action, and we can, think of all these other scenarios like, we're strapped with a bomb and we're told to go into a bank and rob it. And, should we then, once the kidnappers get loose and get the money and get caught and the die pack goes off and we get the bomb unstrapped from us, then we get arrested because, we robbed the bank.
We were the ones, yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
But we were coerced. There was massive coercion that overruled our free will in order to not rob the bank. There's still free will to say, no, but, the bomb would explode and our story would end. So we have to keep going.
That's right.
So our choices are not determined by anyone, especially God or anything outside our own will to choose. Most libertarians embrace a second plank in their definition of free will that philosophers call the principle of alternative possibilities, or PAP for short. This is kind of I chose to do A, could I choose to do B instead? I went for the chocolate ice cream. Oh man, I'm really regretting my choice. I'd like to go back in time and go for the pistachio because I've gotten hit in the head and I think pistachio ice cream sounds good. This is fancy language for the idea of the contrary choice. If Mary chooses one course of action A, her freedom of will gives her the power to choose a contrary or alternative course of action, not A, in exactly the same set of circumstances.
So this is an important concept that he wants us to understand, and he's going to drive home here. Libertarian free will says that in any situation, any person, when you have alternative choices, can choose any of those choices without something causing that person to choose one or the other cause, right? So they could choose, like you said, A or B, and there's in any situation, at any time, without anything causing them to choose one choice. They're free. Right?
And so when philosophers talk about this kind of alternate possibility, they would say, A or not A, because within not A, there's all the choices that you could have done. If you're coming to a two-way stop, you take the left way that you did take. Well, what are the alternate options? Well, there's the right way. There's stop and don't move. There's back up. There's get out of the car and run away. There's sit in your car and eat a sandwich. There's so many things that are included in the not A that you had the ability to choose, but you chose the one. But if you could go back in time and rewind it, a Groundhog's Day type deal, you could choose any of those other possibilities.
Right.
So that's
nothing causes you to choose one possibility over the other.
Right.
Right. That's the nut of this thing that he doesn't like, and he's going to jump on.
Yeah.
Right? So
a lot of issues that I'm trying not to hold back on.
That's
before
right. That's right.
Presenting the ideas.
So the free will defense, he tells us, is offered for three then principal reasons. First, it's meant to ground moral responsibilities in the power of free choice granted to humans, right? So we're morally responsible for our actions because we have free will. It's ground, so it acts as a ground for that. Secondly, the free will defense seeks to exonerate God from culpability, that is, blamable, being blamed for evil that human beings freely choose. If God does not determine our choices, we do, then he can't be called the author of evil. So it allows God to, to escape being labeled like this, right?
Good.
Yeah. And then thirdly, many argue, he says, that without libertarian freedom, loving relationships are eviscerated, right? They're cut to pieces, right? You don't have them. For example, if our choice to love God is determined by God, then it seems to follow that our love for him is forced, coerced. And coerced love, of course, is no love at all. We would be unwilling prisoners, he tells us, of a tyrannical deity, right? Of course, we don't want that.
No,
right?
no.
So the free will gives us, all of these things. It helps us to work through all of these issues.
I mean, if you're going to chop down this tree, you better have something good on the other side to build the house out of.
That's right.
So thus, if meaningful moral good is to be obtained in this world, God must risk the unfortunate possibility of evil. Moral good necessitates, that's the word, the moral freedom afforded by libertarian free will. But moral evil is the unfortunate side effect of abusing such freedom. So you can't have one without the other. This is the choice that God had to come up with, or to allow into his world, in order for us to have the type of being that we are, the type of person we are, and have a type of relationship that seems to be desired by him to us in Scripture.
Yeah. So for us to have this, the free will is so important and such a good, right? That God has, he says here, the risk evil, risk of us choosing evil. But free will, we have free will, and that is good, right?
Sure.